The carrier of a devastating flu virus could be as innocent as a child. She could be returning home with her family from a vacation. On the flight, every cough she makes, every touch she makes, could transmit the virus she now carries. Early symptoms of a flu are like the common cold. It could be hours or days before more serious symptoms become apparent. No one, not her parents or other passengers, would suspect this little girl could be ground zero for a worldwide pandemic. Flu viruses kill people every year, but in the last century, 3 flu pandemics killed millions. Perhaps the most serious recorded flu outbreak began in 1918. Close quarters of World War I soldiers provided opportunity for human-to-human transmission. And their migration to the war zones meant mixing with civilians around the world. Victims bled internally, and the lungs filled with fluid, sometimes drowning the patients. Over 50 million people died from this influenza, at least 30 million more than were killed in the war. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control has released images of the swine flu virus that is believed to have originated in March 2009 in Mexico. Though swine influenza does not normally infect people, there have been sporadic previous human infections. But this strain is new. How does a flu virus attack? A protein spike on the surface of a flu virus is the key to breaking into a human cell. The virus's genetic material enters the cell's nucleus and can make it clone hundreds of thousands of new viruses. Then the virus's protein enables the release of new viruses that attack and take over more cells. The human immune reaction sends out cells and chemicals called cytokines to attack the virus in the lungs, but they cause severe inflammation. The virus itself may not kill its host, but inflammation can cause blood and other fluids to build up in the lungs, and the patient actually drowns. Backyard farms like this could be the link that allows swine or avian flu to jump from animals to humans. When influenza viruses from different species infect pigs, the viruses can reassort or swap genes. Flu viruses are made up of RNA, forever changing genetic material. By mutating, the RNA could make the virus less dangerous, but it could also make it more deadly under the right conditions. New strains can emerge that are a mix of swine, human, and avian influenza viruses. And once human-to-human transmission is established, with our jet-setting lifestyles of today, it could be only a matter of days before the virus can be taken around the world, creating a pandemic.
The germs can live on our hands for quite some time unless we clean them. If we don't clean them and we go and touch something in the meantime, we can spread those germs to other places or other people, and disease can be spread this way.
Animals can carry germs that can make people sick, and these germs can be not only on the animal, but can be in areas where the animals live as well.
When people do regular hand washing, especially with children, that you supervise that hand washing, so you make sure the children are doing it properly and for the length of time that's necessary.
They're coughing and sneezing onto their hands and touching doorknobs. They're using shared objects like pencils or toys. And disease is passed easily from one child to the next.
Try and avoid sneezing into your hand because you just contaminate them and then spread those germs everywhere. Focus on sneezing into your elbow, like this, and then you don't contaminate your hands. Turn on the water, wet your hands, apply a good amount of soap and lather up, And then focus on washing your hands for about 20 seconds, about the time it takes to sing Happy Birthday twice. Focus on washing the front of your hands, the back, in between the fingers, around the nails, and so on. And then rinse everything off. Use something to wipe your hands after that, preferably something disposable like a paper towel, and then use that to turn off the tap as well. If you get a chance, use that to also open the door to the bathroom as you're leaving. The best way to wash your hands is using running water and soap, but sometimes we don't have that available. So think about carrying with you a hand sanitizer. That should have at least 60% alcohol content.
It's important to realize that those agents don't remove soil and other material that might be on your hands. And in that case, you really need to use soap and water.
If you've been touching objects all around you all day long, just assume that your hands are contaminated and make sure before you prepare food, you wash your hands. Before you eat, that you wash your hands.
You can't emphasize hand hygiene enough. Clean hands save lives.
Keeping your hands clean is a very important activity both at home, at school, at work, and in the healthcare setting.
Hand hygiene or hand washing is the single most important thing that you can do to help prevent the spread of infection and to stay healthy and well.
Ziektes als Crohn, psoriasis en reumatoïde artritis. Die patiënten hebben daar te veel van en door dit IgG wordt dat te veel weggevangen. En het zijn redelijk gecompliceerde medicijnen om te maken. Je maakt gebruik van biotechnologische technieken om deze medicijnen te produceren. IgG's maken. IgG's zijn eiwitten en dus de eiwitten die uiteindelijk zich binden aan het TNF-alpha, waardoor dat niet zijn werking kan doen. Hoe wij die eiwitten maken is in een wat wij noemen een fermentor of een bioreactor. En het eerste stuk is dat de cellen eerst moeten groeien. Je moet voldoende cellen hebben. En in de fase waarin de cellen het IgG, het eiwit, gaan produceren, het zit in die bioreactor.
Is a collection of plants from around the world. Every plant that Dr. Merlin points out has compounds that are being used today as medicines. He explains that plants don't actually produce chemicals for us. We just use them.
This one over here is very interesting. It is actually native to a large island called Madagascar off of Africa, which has a high percentage of unique species. This one from Madagascar is known as the Madagascar periwinkle. And there are chemicals in this plant which have been very useful in helping cure Hodgkin's disease. This is known as the kava plant. Generally, and in Hawaii known as ava. In the lower part, what we call the rootstock, are what we call lactones, and these are lipids, fatty-like substances. These chemicals, when, for instance, if you take a part of the rootstock and chew on it, your mouth will get numb, and therefore it was valuable for if you had a toothache. So this is one that was found by Pacific Islanders maybe over 3,000 years ago.